So there's this thing I want to clear up. Um, Last week, when I was talking to my daughter, and she watched that video about what happens to, I guess, friends and family members and loved ones that don't go to 5D. So she watched the video and we connected, and we had a really good talk. And one of the things she asked me about 5D, she felt like 5D was like 5D was like heaven in a way. And you know, given my situation, I was in a church. It was a cult. It was a Christian cult church, and I was programmed into this system with a lot of beliefs and a lot of control at a very young age. And you know, when you're that young, you don't know. They start saying if you're bad, you're going to go to hell, and this is your only redemption. Heaven is the only other option. And so I was hardcore programmed into this system of, we have to go to heaven, we have to be perfect and good to go to heaven. And, um, and if we weren't going to heaven, we will be enjoying a season of sin and our life would end never to be thought of again. So we didn't technically believe in the burning hell, but we believed in hell as you go out of existence, this is your only life, and then you die. And so, anyways, being that I was in that cult church, I had my daughter there at a young age, and the programming, it was so heavy. Although I was all in, all in, when I had her, I started to think, I don't want her to go through what I'm going through here. I started to think how, I guess I started to notice how they pushed me certain ways, and they programmed me with certain beliefs, and I felt like these beliefs, I felt like these beliefs kind of like directed my life in kind of a messed up way. And anyways, I was there and I had her, and as she started to grow up, I started to feel more and more I didn't want her face, with the possibilities of what they made us think. And I just wanted her to be free. And so during that time, I, during that time, basically I had her, and this is her memory, so that's the only reason why I'm saying this. Sometimes I have to be careful because I'm a storyteller and I love to get into the stories. But what you need to know is she experienced me being involved in this cult. So she's seen the ups and downs of how I felt, the ups and downs of how they treated me, and pretty much didn't like religion, after that. And so when I, had my spiritual awakening and I started to, when I first got on board with this 5D journey, um, she was around then, and I told her, I was telling her about, the things I was learning and experiencing. Well, recently, we hadn't talked about any of these type of things in a long time. And so recently she was like, my only thing, she said, I agree with, the things that you're saying. She said, I know that you're right, but she said the 5D thing, it kind of reminds me of heaven, and with the religions kind of preach that you go to this heaven like place in the afterlife, and this place is, it's perfect, and it's got streets of gold and jewels and all these beautiful things, and all these church people, that's their idea goal to get to this place, and they don't want anything to do with this world. And so it's definitely a very strong program, and anyone not in an illusion can see it. And so when she said, I think she said, I kind of feel like 5D is like a heaven. So I was thinking about how 5D to me, well, I just want to clear up that misconception, because it is easy to think that. When you first hear about 5D, it seems like it's an afterlife experience. It seems like, oh, like kind of like it's kind of too good to be true because we don't remember who we are. So it kind of feels like you kind of throw it in that little arena where, oh, after you die, you go to heaven, hell, but now people are calling it 5D. And I know a lot of times with the Christian belief systems, I've heard them, when I make some of my videos, kind of refer to it as heaven. And they'll, I feel like, a lot of them think it's like some kind of new age switch or something or whatever. But my thing is I want to clear that up. Sorry, I just spent 5 minutes not getting to the subject. Okay, 5D is not heaven, and let me explain why. Okay, heaven and even the hell, which there are many hell dimensions and there are many heaven dimensions, but let's just say heaven that the people are going to church for, the Christians or whatever the belief that believes in the God and the heaven and the sins somebody had to die for them. Heaven is a fourth dimensional game. It exists in the fourth dimension. It's part of the illusion. Us creator gods, we came here for an experience. Some creator gods are experiencing having amnesia, not remembering their God, and they want to experience worshiping other gods or the whole aspect of different religions. So consider this like if you play a video game, right? You actually are a real person, but when you play a video game, you play a character. So these people who have this belief system, they have all decided to go into these churches. Let's take my cult church for existence. A whole group of people, thousands of people went there. And they all hung out together. They did everything together. And, they intend to go to heaven together if they are perfect enough. And after they die, they go to this heaven dimension. Okay, that's the game, right? You play the game. It's kind of challenging. Can I be perfect? Can I not do malice, jealousy, envy, murder, all of these sins? So that's a part of the illusion, right? They play the game. And one day they have the heaven experience, okay? So when they die, so basically the game doesn't end at death for these people, okay? So they die, and a part of their belief system, when you die, you're a creator God. So your belief system is going to take you pretty much to the next thing, right? So as they die, they may witness Jesus, they may witness angels, and they'll go into a heaven. That is if they met the requirements to go to heaven according to their religious belief system, right? Like my requirements were so strict, I often thought I wouldn't go to heaven because I couldn't be perfect the way they said. So, but if I stayed in that belief system, I probably wouldn't have went to heaven, but it would only be because I believed that I couldn't be perfect, okay? I believed that I couldn't line up with it. And so once they pass on, okay, their souls go into another experience within the fourth dimension. It's like a dimension within the fourth dimension. And so they go into this heaven or hell experience, and and then they experience from there, right? But at that point, when you kind of go out of this illusion, it doesn't take long for you to get your memories back of being a creator God. And there'll be other entities there to kind of help you. Like if you end up like in a hell situation, there's entities there that's going to help you remember, because people who create the hell situation, it can get very traumatizing. So no one's going to let you sit there and suffer. Okay, like you're going to help you remember. I remember once my mentor, she said when she died, before she went outside of the whole creation, she stopped by different areas in fourth dimension, and heaven and hell were two that she stopped by. And hell, she said hell was very terrible. And she said, and people left quickly. They left hell quickly. But she said when she went to heaven, it was empty. And she said, basically the people who did get to heaven, they left faster than the people who went to hell. And she said, because the thing is, we're creator gods, right? And so we are creating our experience. And whatever you believe in, you create. So you read the Bible and you say, well, heaven has streets of gold and diamonds and, many mansions. And you get there and you see streets of gold and diamonds and many mansions. Because you're a creator God and that's all you were focused on, that's all you created. So the people who got to heaven were bored. They didn't have anything to do because they didn't realize that this whole time they should have been creating the reality they wanted to create. And I remember one time that I remember her saying that her mom believed that when you go to heaven, it would be just like the best parts of Wyoming. And when she died and went over, that's what she experienced. And so you experience what you're looking for. So a lot of times people, they wake up out of the illusion, they realize that they're a God, and they really don't want to stay in a place that was only created based on. See, the thing is, we give all our powers to these churches, to these ministers. They tell us what to believe, and we don't go. They tell us not to think any further, so we're stuck in that belief system. But you're stuck until you wake up out of illusion. It's easier to wake up out of the illusion when you've had that experience. Okay, so I said that to say, with heaven, you have to die to go there. Okay, with the fifth dimension, you do not have to die. This is it's literally a phase in. It's basically a timeline split. I said this before, right? It gets to a point where when the frequencies raise on the planet, there'll be a group of people when the timeline begins to raise higher. There are some entities, souls, that decide that they want to experience some fourth dimensional creations, fourth dimensional activities, right? So when the vibrations of the planet start to reach high, it comes a point where these people, the fourth dimension people, they go off on a different timeline for you. In 5D, you go off on the 5D timeline, right? So these are timelines. There's not a place, okay? You don't die. You're going to be living in this experience right here. It is about shifting, remembering, raising your vibration, keeping your dominant vibration higher. And as you do that, everything will magically change, but it's not going to look like a whole big magic event to your human eyes, okay? It'll be like a slow shift. You'll start noticing the world will get better. The world is healing more. There's less negative activity going outside. There's more positive things happening. People are connecting with each other. And once you get into 5D, the early set levels of 5D, like the early stages of 5D, are really going to feel a lot similar. And once you're in 5D, as your frequency raises, you'll begin to access more of your abilities, more of, and definitely we're basically losing like the vibrations of fear. Those are going to be gone. No more fear, no more judgment. It's going to be it's a higher frequency. So a lot of the duality will be gone. It won't be to the point where here in 3D, 4D, the vibrations can go as low as possible. Well, for 5D, Gaia has a limit of how low she's going to allow the vibrations to go. So if you're going to be with her on 5D planet, you're going to be above a certain frequency. And so, I just wanted to clear that up. It's not a heaven. It's not even a death thing. You're not going to die, And, from that point, you raise your frequency, and then you decide 5D just as big as 4D is. 5D is big. It has a lot of entities. It has a lot of games. Everyone will know each other more. They'll be creating stuff together more. But at first, it may be basic. First it may be you'll still probably, you'll still be living in like a house. And the whole thing is, we just got to get ourselves to the point where we're actively creating what we want. We're remembering who we are, and we're letting go of fear, resistance, and doubts, because that's a part of the game. We've been programmed with all these fears, all these resistances, and all these doubts. And basically, we have to dig ourselves out of those belief systems, because we're a God. As long as we doubt we can go to 5D, we will never go. As long as we fear things, like you're fearing the different crazy things going on in this world, you're going to be on the timeline where those things can happen, because you're holding the fear vibration. That is a low frequency. And as long as you hold it, that's going to determine the timelines you go on. So when you feel fear, or because we have our moments, but you have to shift that moment. You have to notice, recognize when you have an emotion that could actually turn you to a lower vibration. And what I do is I try to notice it. Okay, I'm feeling this. Okay, let me step back. Let me observe. Okay, I'm feeling this emotion, feeling anger right now, but I don't really have to get involved with it. And you just kind of Allow it to pass if you can. Do it if you have to say to focus yourself out of anger. Focus yourself out of that vibration. Because if you stay in it too long, it definitely it puts you on a timeline where things that match the fear vibration or the anger vibration will start, more things will start coming to you to keep you in that feeling. Okay, so that's how the law of attraction works. So if you get your, like happened earlier this week, I got myself in a lower frequency, lower vibration. I told y'all in that other video, got a mess email. My husband told me not to read the email. I'm so sensitive to people and to people's energy that like just one email can really can put me in a frequency, and it just throws my vibration off. You know, it's to the point where I have to have him screen things now, because like I can't afford for, you know, someone to project a certain kind of energy and like to knock me down in my vibration. And so but it happens, right? And so when you do get knocked off, you just got to keep in mind what your true intentions is, that this is not what you want. Maybe it's something you have to deal with. Maybe you have anger emotion for a good reason. Maybe you need to talk about it. Maybe, and it's okay, like, to talk about it. If you need to cry, it's okay to cry, because that releases energy. But don't get to a point where your mind is constantly thinking about it and is constantly trying to hold you into a lower vibration, hold you to a point where you're just sitting there saying, you're like, just crying and you're looking sad. I remember, this is kind of like a ritual, right? If you start thinking about the same thing over and over, and then you start looking sad and not looking happy, that is gonna keep you in a very depressed vibration. You have to do the work. You have to say, okay, I'm not about to sit here and be looking sad. I gotta get up today. I gotta put on my clothes. I gotta put makeup if you wear it. You have to do little things to get yourself out of that. Now, if you want to stay in a depressed vibration, if you want to work out why I'm feeling depressed and do all this shadow work and deal with all of this childhood trauma, that's okay to do. That might be, if you want to do that, that might be the game you're in, which is a 4D game to kind of work through all these things. But those of us on the Creator God journey, we have to get to the point where we're trying to remember, we're trying to look at everything that hurt us and look at it from our higher self perspective, from our God perspective, and be like, well, you know, that person made me angry, but let me look at it from this way. He's also a creator God, and he's responding to whatever vibration I'm in. And also, this person made me angry, but let me come from their perspective. Maybe they have a perspective. A lot of times when we get into stuff with people, it is a miscommunication. If you really put yourself in their shoes and actually try to understand where they're coming from, even though it makes you mad, try to understand, like, why does he feel this way? Okay, what did I do? Oh, and then realize it might be just a clear misunderstanding. And once you guys both do that, you go check in with your higher self and ground, you'll be able to work the problem out. And so anyways, 5D is not heaven. And is there anything else I need to say? Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. It's not a heaven. It's not a death thing, right? When you're sending a 5D, you know, I don't plan to see death, okay? I mean, I guess you could die if you wanted to as a creator God, but that's not what 5D is about, okay? Thank you for watching my video today, and I appreciate you guys. And I have an email list. If you resonate with my channel, please sign up for it, so I can be connecting with you guys outside of this medium, because, you know, we don't know, you know, if this medium will last forever. So I'm definitely setting up something where, you know, I can be connected to you guys that are on this journey. All right. Thank you for watching.